Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Chainsaw. I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
Well, here we are, Craig, the first Christmas movie of the season. Just finished hitting up a couple Thanksgiving-ish movies. I don't know, this movie we chose for today is maybe a little more appropriate for Thanksgiving, huh?
I know. We talked about doing it for Thanksgiving, but I watched the trailer and there was so much Christmas in the trailer. I'm like, let's save it. But it's apropos, like, you know, we just had Thanksgiving, now Black Friday, and then we'll move into, like, the real Christmas stuff.
That's right. So the one we're doing right now is a movie I had never heard of before. It's 2021's Black Friday. So it came out a couple years ago, and I was really impressed because, number one, it was a zom-com, and I think a couple weeks ago I told you I'm kind of sick and tired of zom-coms, but here we are doing one yet again. Because I'll just be forever cursed to watch these things because they keep making them.
I know.
I don't know. What is it? Ever since Shaun of the Dead, like every year there's like 5 of these things. And
this one's a little different. Like it basically is a zombie movie, but the zombies are unique. They're not like I mean, I guess they kind of are Walking Dead, but it's more like they're possessed or like infected by some kind of parasite or something. That
it's very unclear, and it doesn't.
It's
need
very
to be clear.
unclear, yeah. And nothing is ever explained, so don't be waiting for the explanation because it doesn't come.
I was really looking forward to this movie because it looked like it'd be a lot of fun, and because Bruce Campbell is in it, I thought, okay, this is gonna be cool. And the trailer made it look real funny. I was just looking for a big bowl of laughs with it, and I have to say I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, it's not great. Ultimately, that's going to be my judgment. Like, it's not great. But
I was actively mad at this movie, man.
Oh, man. See, I kind of had fun watching it, and which is impossible. It's impossible that I could have, because I had to watch this surreptitiously at work on my phone.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, wow, we were really cramming it in. We tried to get 2 podcasts in this week to get a little ahead for the holidays, and I guess that put you in a rough spot, huh?
Right. Like, it was the very last day of school before break, and so there's not even any sense in really planning anything. It's not like we didn't do anything, but I knew that they were going to be in vacation mode. I was in vacation mode. So there wasn't a whole lot going on in Mr. Higgins' class that day.
Why'd you just turn it on for the kids?
I almost could have, but no, I like hid my phone behind my desktop computer and like sat there and pretended I was doing something else.
Nice.
But,
that might have been the best way to watch this, honestly, because I'm here in a little bungalow and I plugged my laptop into the TV here. So I saw it full screen with the lights off, kind of proper movie style. And maybe it would have been better on a phone. Maybe it would have gone down easier.
No, I don't. I don't recommend watching it on a phone during the day, backlit by natural light coming through huge windows, because I only saw about a quarter of this movie.
What?
because it's so dark. And I'm watching it on a phone, so a lot of the time I was just looking at my reflection in the phone.
Oh, God.
It was so dark. But I kind of saw what they were going for, and I don't know. I enjoyed things about it. What I wrote at the very top of my notes, I said, this is a great idea if it's executed well.
Yeah.
Like a movie about Black Friday and people getting possessed. I mean, even it makes me think of, this movie doesn't remind me of it necessarily, but it makes me think of the opening scene of Krampus.
Yeah.
Which is a Black Friday scene.
And I love the opening scene of Krampus.
It's fantastic. And everybody, there's nothing supernatural or nasty going on other than people just being
nasty,
crazy on Black Friday. And honestly, that representation of Black Friday was not far off the mark from real life. Now, I think some good, it's even hard to say this, it's painful to say this, but some good came out of the pandemic, because I think that the pandemic killed American Black Friday the way that it used to be. Now everything is online, which makes so much more sense. It's so much more convenient. It's far better. Did you ever do the whole Black Friday thing pre-pandemic?
No, you know why? And for those people who maybe are not familiar with this, Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving. It's sort of the first shopping holiday of the season, and supposedly it's called Black Friday because it's the first time in the whole year that finally retail gets in the black. I don't know if that's entirely true or if it's just more of a saying, but the idea is that that's when they really start making tons of money because obviously the holiday shopping season is their biggest time of the year.
Right.
And so I don't know when this happened because I don't think this was a thing when we were kids. At least it wasn't like advertised to the public as Black Friday. I'm sure within the retail sales circle, they all referred to it, know, in business-like terms. But at some point, I don't remember what it was, the late 90s, early 2000s, Black Friday became a thing that businesses advertised. So they said, hey, we're going to put incredibly good deals. Many of them are like limited number or limited quantity on the day after Thanksgiving to force you guys to come out and start shopping. And they purposely were generating crowds. And so like some of these stores would do like what this store did. They'll open up at like midnight.
Yeah, or like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, and the people would literally line up outside the door, camping out overnight, so they could be one of the first people in. So as soon as those doors open, they would tear to the back of the store, wherever the 10 TVs that you could buy for half price were.
Right.
So that they could be one of those first 10 people to get it. And thank God, like, I think even before it petered out, there was a lot of criticism. They're like, this is kind of capitalism gone amok.
Oh, God, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And not only that, but, of course, it forced all the employees of these places to be away from their families at the holidays.
Yeah.
And to deal with the insanity. And it really was insane. Like, honestly, if you've seen the beginning of Krampus, that was what it was like. I did it twice. Once for myself, I did it to get a Christmas tree because though my partner and I are financially comfortable now, we weren't always. We were young, right out of college.
Sure, yeah.
Entry-level jobs and things were tight, and we needed a Christmas tree, and you could get, they would take these high-price items and drastically reduce the price. And so I stood in line at like 4 o'clock in the morning at Home Depot one time.
For a Christmas tree.
And raced all of these other middle-aged women.
Were you elbowing old ladies out of the way and stepping over
not
children?
Elbowing, but it literally was like I grabbed one of the trees because it was like it was a specific tree I wanted. It was like this Martha Stewart tree, pre-lit, like it was beautiful, and I wanted it.
You are so gay.
I know, right? I don't remember if my sister was with me. I may be conflating stories, but I grabbed the tree and I started pulling it, and it was like a goddamn cartoon. Like there was a middle-aged woman on the other side of the aisle pulling it from the other side. Like we were tug-of-warring over this Christmas tree.
Are you serious?
And I got it because, duh, I'm not going to let some old bitch beat me. But I think that I also did it one year with my mother because my mother did Black Friday like she planned it like it was Mission Impossible. And she would recruit me and my aunts and other people and like place us. Because Walmart was open 24 hours, but they would line their aisles with these products, but they would cover them in butcher paper, so you didn't know what anything was. So you just kind of had to wait until at 4 a.m. or whatever, they would rip the butcher paper off, and then it would be just a mad grab. And so my mom would take me and my aunt and maybe somebody else and like position us at different parts of the store. And we had lists. We need this and this and this. These are our top priorities.
Wow.
And it didn't even matter, like if I was grabbing gifts that were ultimately going to be for me. It didn't matter. They're saving money.
Yeah.
And it was nutty. It was absolutely bonkers. And I don't think that it happens anymore. More and more retail places, even grocery stores in the United States, are closing on Thanksgiving to give their employees the holiday, which I just think is fantastic. It's a small gesture in a really trying industry, but it's a gesture nonetheless, and I appreciate that they're doing it. And I'm so glad that craziness, because you would see on the news, people would get in physical fights. People would shoot other people to get that big screen TV or whatever. It was insane, and it needed to be put a stop to, and I'm glad that it was. So thank you, pandemic, for that one little thing.
I mean, maybe I'm also kind of a man of very few needs. I'm always the guy buying the, second or third generation back game console, or I've got the same TV I've had for ages and don't really have this huge compulsion to get a bigger one, and so the kinds of things that would go on sale for Black Friday, like the deals would look fantastic, but I would look at them and go like, I don't really care if I get my USB drive for $15 or $7. Like, it's not that important to me. So I didn't participate in one of those. But somewhere early on in that deal, they did a Cyber Monday, right? Where Amazon and all these retailers online. And that I loved, because you can just sit. And God, at work, I would just mostly not get any work done. And I had an office job at that time, so I could just sit down behind a computer and pretend like I was working, but mostly I was checking these sales that would kick off one every hour on all these different websites. I loved that, and I didn't get hurt or shot doing that, so that was nice.
And that's how it is now. And now they still call it Black Friday, but it's 2 weeks of deals. It's just better all around. It's more convenient. I'm sure that these corporations are still making great money. Well, I don't know, because Bruce Campbell plays the store manager. This takes place in a toy store. It was filmed in an abandoned Babies R Us. And he's the store manager, and he basically says that Black Friday is just a loss leader. You put these high price items on sale for really low, but that gets people in the door. So you're taking a loss. You're taking a loss on those big items, but it gets people in the store, and then they do a lot more shopping and spend a lot more money, and that's where they make their money. Pretty much everything is online in America now anyway. I don't know what it's like in China, but I recently went to the mall that we frequented when I was young, and it's a shell of what it used to be. There are lots of empty spaces, but the big department stores are still there. But we went to JCPenney, which is a big department store in the States. My mom had found this deal online, and then she also found it in the store, but you could only get the deal online. So if she ordered it online, then they could ship it to the store, but it was already at the store. So she talked to the manager, and he's like, well, let me look into it. And what the manager told us is that their brick and mortar stores really these days are warehouses.
Oh.
It's just where they store their inventory. It's like open warehouses. People can come in and shop, but it's really the main function of it is just to store their inventory, and they sell it all online and just ship it directly from the store, which I thought was fascinating. It kind of blew my mind.
It is. I mean, things have changed so much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God it's not as insane as this is anymore. So, I mean, in a way, the movie's already a little out of date.
A little
concept
bit.
Is.
Those stores don't even exist anymore. You can't find a brick and mortar toy store like that
giant
anymore.
Toy store.
Toys R Us, Babies R Us, they all shuttered years ago. So
well, that's probably why they were able to film it in one. I mean, to be honest, part of what makes this movie look so cheap, and I thought that there were parts of this movie that looked really expensive, and a lot of the production that looked really cheap, and some of that was this store looked like its shelves were half full.
Oh yeah, it didn't look like, and it didn't even have shelves. It just looked kind of like a showroom, just a bunch of toys scattered around a big empty space. I mean, there were some shelves around the outside, but the whole center was just this huge open space with just toys scattered throughout.
And not even toys sometimes. There was an aisle of lamps and things. I mean, if you really started looking behind, it almost seemed like they just grabbed whatever shit they could find and at some point decided, it doesn't really matter. The store's in chaos by this point, overrun by the creatures anyway, so no one's going to notice if we just throw non-toy random things up on the shelves. But I noticed.
Yeah.
The plot is that these Oh, I don't want to talk too much about the plot. I just want to talk about everything I didn't like about this movie.
God. See, and I was getting ready to talk about what I did like. Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
it centers around these employees of a toy store, and they're preparing for Black Friday, and then eventually, within like the first 10 minutes, they open the doors, and it's, that crazy Black Friday thing that we were just talking about. But what I will say that I liked about this movie, and I didn't hate the movie. I really didn't. I thought it was kind of fun. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be.
No.
But I really, everybody in it, I liked. All of the actors I liked. I thought that they were good in their roles and they were fun to be with. Devon Sawa, I guess, is the main guy.
Uh-huh.
He plays Ken. The movie kind of makes him out like at first, and I feel like this is very intentional, they try to make him out to be kind of the fun guy. But the movie also then goes out of its way to point out that he's really too old for that nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you're in your 40s, you work on the floor at a toy store, you're dating one of your 20-year-old coworkers, and like skateboarding around the toy store. Like, it may be time to grow up.
Yeah.
I like Devon Sawa. He was in Idle Hands and Final Destination, and
Yeah.
he's fun, and he's kind of in a renaissance right now. Like there's a part in the movie where they're in the break room, I think, and somebody's flipping channels on the TV, and one of the Chucky movies comes out.
Yeah.
Devon Sawa has been. Well, there are 3 seasons of Chucky, and I know that he's been in all 3 of them, but I've only seen seasons 1 and 2, in both of which he dies.
Interesting.
So the character he plays in season 1 dies, and then he's just in season 2 as a completely different character, and nobody ever comments on it.
Really?
Yeah. Like, he's a prominent character in both seasons.
What?
Just a totally different character, and nobody talks about it.
If they just liked having that actor in there. He worked really well.
And he's good. He is good in that show. There are, frankly, too many people to keep track of. Like, I was trying so hard to keep track of all these people. There's Chris, who's like the young, newer guy. I would say he looks like he's somewhere in his 20s. He's played by a kid named Ryan Lee. And I was looking at this kid thinking, who is he? I know I've seen this kid before. And so I looked him up, and he was in Super 8. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I liked it.
Yeah, it was good. And he was also in the TV show that only ran for 1 season, but I was a big fan of it, with Malin Ackerman, Trophy Wife. And this kid did a lot when he was a kid, but when he was young, his front teeth, like, were super, like, buck teethy. Like they jutted out over his lower lip. But in some of those earlier things that he was in, he was wearing, like, braces, like corrective stuff. And now he's super cute.
Yeah, he looks
a
nice.
very handsome young man.
He's like a germaphobe in this, yeah.
He's a germaphobe. There's Marnie. She's this young brunette. She's the one that Ken, I guess, kind of thinks they're dating, but I think she kind of just feels like it's kind of just like a work thing. Like, we can mess around at work or whatever. There's several others. There's Archie, who's played by Michael J. White, who is super familiar, but I didn't really recognize him for anything. This, like, super handsome, big black guy.
Uh-huh.
Jonathan is Bruce Campbell. He's the boss in the office. And Brian is the stereotypically gay floor manager.
Right.
And it's just, like, it almost feels like a workplace sitcom for the first 10 minutes.
That's what it's trying to be. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quippy. They're kind of trying to establish the relationship between these people. The floor manager is like the uptight one, and Ken, Devon Sawa's the goofy older guy who's always messing around, and Chris is the younger guy who's the germaphobe, but he's taking his job seriously and trying to do his best. And Marnie is that really cool chick that you knew in high school or college who just didn't give a fuck about anything or anybody, and she just did whatever she felt like doing.
There's the bitchy Anita gal who's like the goody-goody employee of the month, always trying to do the right thing and only cares about herself. She kind of pops in.
I just watched this yesterday and I've already completely forgotten her. Like, I have her in my
Oh,
notes.
she's barely in it.
I have her in my notes, but I skipped over it when I was talking about the characters because I was like, I don't remember who that is.
Well, it's so weird. It's honestly so weird because, and I just think this is emblematic of the whole movie. Like, there's so many missed opportunities, and this woman is being set up to be this standard character who's going to be kind of opposing them at every turn, or, she's going to be so self-centered or so devoted to, single-mindedly devoted to her job or whatever, that she's going to be an obstacle.
Well, and she's a Karen.
She's a Karen, yeah. But she's not. Like, she just kind of pops in a couple times, says some douchey things, and goes.
Says some douchey things like they...
Happy Black Friday, Anita.
Green Friday.
What?
Corporate said Black Friday was racist, so they changed it to Green Friday. Green like Christmas and money.
Good to know.
Oh, my God.
I know, and that was supposed to be funny, though. Like, that, it wasn't funny. Oh, there's so much of this movie that wasn't funny.
It wasn't. It wasn't funny. It was kind of frustratingly real.
Don't forget also the older lady who is supposed to be funny because she's got a filthy mouth. What was her name?
She was a customer, wasn't she?
You're right. I think she was a customer that just got pulled into the employees when things go amok. Because what happens is there's a meteor that flies through the ceiling of the store. I was a little confused at the whole intro because there's kind of
I think I missed that.
What are they like? Yeah, it was too dark. That's why you missed it. It was like literally dark. And I guess it was the people early stocking the store, like maybe before anybody ever shows up. Like the guys unloading the truck or something like that. And a meteor comes in, and they're sort of the first kills, but it kind of happens off screen. All you see is this glowing kind of pulsing pink thing that ends up underneath the...
It's the blob.
It is. It's 100% the blob. So that thing is there, and I guess some old lady comes in and sits on the chair, and I guess it infects her, and she's the first one. And then from then on out, it's not clear, like in the normal zombie movie, like you get bitten and you turn. And I think that's still kind of true.
Yeah.
But what also happens is that they open their mouths and this white fibrous thing shoots out of it.
Tentacle. Like, first it reminded me of The Stuff.
Yeah.
This white, like, goo shooting onto people's faces. But it's not really goo.
It's not goo.
It's more like a tendril or a tentacle or something that, like, attaches usually to their face, but then I think in other times it attached to other parts of people, like their legs or their arms, and regardless of where it gets you, then you're infected. And then you basically turn into a zombie, but you continue to mutate into like some monster from hell.
Yeah, and then you decide to join and meld into... What happens in the middle of the movie is that sort of like they notice, hey, all the customers are melding together into this giant blob-like creature that's growing and growing in the center of the store.
They hear over the radio or something, like somebody saying, all these infected people, they seem to have a mission. It seems like they're building something. So this isn't only happening in this store. It's happening in other places too. And it's not that they are physically constructing anything. And we are conflating in a couple of minutes what it takes the movie the whole time to tell us.
Yeah.
But like there's these suggestions that they're drawn towards this central thing and that they're making something, but it's really... And we see that the blob keeps getting bigger and bigger, but it's not really until the near, at least the halfway mark, if not later, that we realize that they're all just kind of joining this mass and becoming part of it.
So the idea, and I liked what they were doing at the beginning. They were trying a little bit of that Shaun of the Dead kind of thing where they were at first trying to equate the shoppers, who were not zombies yet, with zombies. I love that bit.
I did too.
It was a clever idea. They're banging at the windows and they're looking anxious and they're trying to get in, but they haven't opened the store yet.
But I liked the way that was shot because they just looked like an angry mob because it was through the window and you were just kind of seeing them in silhouette. They may as well have already been zombies. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
And I liked that too. I liked the juxtaposition. Like it's I don't think this movie is really trying to make any statement.
No.
We know what Black Friday is and was. It's just a cultural phenomenon. But I think that you watch actual footage of Black Fridays, crazy Black Fridays, and these people look insane.
Oh, yeah.
And they look like zombies. Like, it's crazy. So it works really well. As soon as the people get inside, they start getting infected within moments. Like, you don't even...
Yes and no.
You barely even get to see any of the crazy retail stuff because people start getting in... And as soon then as a few people get infected and the staff notices, like, at first they're still trying to deal with them as though they're customers, but then when it becomes obvious that there's something wrong with them, then they evacuate the store and most everybody gets out.
Yeah.
So it's just the employees and a handful of infected. I think that's a missed opportunity too. It should have been a store full of these things, but I guess that would have been a lot more difficult for them to navigate.
I think, navigating it was a little lazy, or the budget wasn't there or something. I just want to run through why this bothered me so much. So even the scenes when the Black Friday customers are coming in, you get the sense that you've already met all the employees in the store.
Yeah.
And it's just these, like, not even a dozen people, right? That's just these, like, 8 or 9 people. Yet the customers come storming in, and there's this montage of them grabbing things off the shelves, and it's just close-ups. But anytime they cut to a medium shot or a wide shot, you'd think the store was half empty.
Yeah, that's true.
And these employees have all the time in the world to chat with each other and do their banter, and they're not doing anything. They're barely helping the customers. You don't see anybody. You see one person at the register, maybe. It's just like, oh, here's a shot of these 2 people, and they're making some funny joke. Oh, here's a shot of this person helping this old lady or whatever. But I got none of the sense of this chaos that the movie is supposed to be about.
Yeah, you're right.
It just felt cheap. And then, before they even realize that there's zombies, but they know something's going on, or at least a few employees know something is going on, they're kind of one by one all starting to assemble in the back room. It's one of these cases where, like, 2 people go into the back warehouse room or whatever, and they're arguing about something. Then a 3rd person joins them. Then a 4th person joins them. Then a 5th person. And pretty soon, everybody we've already met is back there. And only one of them has this sense that there was, like, a really weird customer earlier. I'm sitting here thinking, who's manning the store? Like, they're all back there having these little bits of business, just being funny. We know that there's zombies infecting each other, but we've only seen 1 or 2 scenes of it. They don't really know that yet. But somehow, and I don't even remember how it happens, they end up jumping to this conclusion that they're all in danger, even though they've all been back there and nobody's even been in the front to witness what's been going on almost this whole time. It was just mind-blowingly, bafflingly, frustratingly bad. I never felt a sense of urgency. I never felt a sense that the store was being overrun. I felt like these guys could have just sat in the back and twiddled their thumbs the whole time. Zombies weren't trying to bang at the door and stream into that big swinging wide double door that leads to the stock room that's in the back in the middle of the store. They're all just comfortable back there chatting. And then when they decide they need to finally go out, they all go through the door. And it's supposed to be this big dramatic scene where all, 6 or 7 of them are lined up and they're ready to do battle. And the store's almost already empty by now.
Yeah.
To the point where they're just creeping around.
And they split up. Oh. Yeah. Like, instead of staying all together, which would have made the most sense, they split up. And, like, I get what you're saying, and you're not wrong.
They're not pushing hordes back,
No,
they're like
they're running
the
into
aisles.
one zombie every once in a while. Like Anita, the bitchy Anita, is a zombie, and they have to fight her. And at some point, the bitchy old lady who was, you were right, was the one who, like, sat on a throne that the blob was under, and she got infected. She becomes one of the main zombies, and her transformation is progressive, but by the end, wouldn't you say that by the end, when they're looking all crazy, like their flesh is all, like, dissolved and they're monstrous, I really liked that design, and I thought that it was executed well. It was kind of few and far between, but I liked what I saw.
One of the good things I'll say about the movie, and I really, really mean this, the makeup was fantastic. The zombie designs were fantastic.
Yeah.
The gore effects were great. Most of it seemed pretty practical. I loved that bit of it. And, they're all melding together. There were times when that pulsating red thing looked a little too practical. It looked like red trash bags that were kind of being blown open and sucked in with some lights behind them. But for the most part, all that stuff was really nice. The problem was there wasn't enough of it. There weren't hordes of them.
No, there were only a couple. And even though there weren't a lot of the monsters or zombies or whatever, they did... I mean, it's getting ready to say it, it sounds stupid, but they did meet up with them regularly, and there was lots of action. Like, there were lots of fights. Well, like, Archie has a big fight with one of the zombies, and...
Yeah.
And I liked that action, and like, the fighting... it's good action. There's also humor involved, like there's like physical comedy stuff going on that I liked. And that happens multiple times, but you're right. It's just like these little isolated incidents where really probably they should have just been able to skirt around these people. Like if they're in this big department store and there's only one or two zombies, like just stay out of their way.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't draw their attention. It shouldn't be that hard.
And I think the movie is trying at times to convince us that there are zombies trying to come in, like the store is in danger of being overrun. Because at one point, there's like a little mini mission to like make sure all the doors are secured, like in the back. But every time, and people do end up going outside pretty frequently, it's just dead out there. There's like one or two zombies maybe running around the corner, but otherwise so it's like you said, it's like these isolated incidents of fighting, but no real constant ongoing pressure and no sense of danger because of the pacing.
Well,
I mean, those guys, they can have this fight with the zombie, and then suddenly there are 5 of them arguing about something and being funny and witty. And so all the zombie action stops, all the pressure stops, while they're at the front of the store.
Where's the holiday bonuses?
Are they like in your office or something?
I thought that I told you that there were going to be no holiday bonuses this year.
What the fuck?
Jonathan, this is bullshit even for you.
That's not what you told me. All you said was that there'd be layoffs after the holidays. Whoa. What the hell? Like who? I mean, for show you with them bathroom breaks. I wash my f***ing hands. This place is a cesspool.
Hey, guys, shut up.
And then, in that way, it also suffers from the intruder problem, right? Like, there's this big store that's nothing but aisles, and like you said, kind of the middle of it's pretty wide open. You're going to see these things coming from a mile away.
Yeah, the emergency lights are on. It's not like they're walking... Except at one point, they did a whole charade where they were like, let's form a chain of us because it's pitch black in here and we can't see. Excuse me? I can see you. Like, this scene is lit. Like, what are you talking about? It's stuff like that, and it's stuff like, I said, there's fights and there's comedies, but it's jokes like this. Like, Archie is fighting this zombie, and he gets tentacled on the arm, and then he points, I don't even know if he has a gun or a weapon or whatever, but he says, "Got your doorbusters right here, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Like, stupid stuff like that. Like, I mean, hardy har, I get it. Doorbusters. I assume he's dead. I assume he got killed. I didn't know what happened, but we never see him again. There's somewhere else, Marnie kills like this particularly ugly zombie and then says, I don't think this night can get any worse. And the power goes out. Like, come on.
Yeah,
like,
it's all this kind of humor.
Try a little bit harder. Just a little. You've got really good actors here. I mean, you've got Bruce Campbell. Give Bruce Campbell something to do.
Yeah.
He has nothing to do.
Frustratingly so, right? I thought he was going to get better.
And he's in it.
Oh, he's in it a lot.
See, now, when I saw that he was the store manager in The Office, again, very much like Intruder. Wasn't there that character who just was in the office all the time?
Yep.
That's what I thought Bruce Campbell was going to be. I was like, oh, they tricked us. This is going to be a cameo. He's never going to come out of that office. No, that's not true. He comes out. He's with them the whole movie, and he has nothing to do. Bruce Campbell is hilarious, and he just kind of stands in the background.
Yeah.
He talks every once in a while, but he doesn't have anything to say.
He doesn't even get funny lines. Oh, it's such a waste.
No, he doesn't get funny lines, but when the black gay store manager, when he attacks a zombie, he runs at it and screams, Beyonce! Like, that's his battle cry. Like,
oh, God.
Guys, I think we may need to take a second look at the script. I think we need to call in somebody to punch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get some, bigger laughs in there. Let's find something for Bruce to do. He seems bored. I mean, he's slaying the mustache, but we gotta find something for him to do. But no. Eventually, Ken, the main character, thinks he got bit by one of the zombies. Later, we find out that he didn't. Just Brian, the floor manager, bit him so that they would think he was infected to get rid of him because he thought he was a shitty person. What?
I almost threw something at the screen at that point.
It was the most contrived plot device I've seen in a really long time. They just needed, for really no good reason, I guess to build tension or something, they needed Ken to, do the noble thing and stay behind and sacrifice himself because he was a goner anyway. And we're supposed to care about him. Like, he's got kids, he's divorced, and he's got kids, and then, he can't be with his kids on Thanksgiving, and he really wants to get back to his kids. And at some point in the movie, he does get a text from his ex-wife that says, I'm fine, the girls are fine. But he still wants to get back to them. So we're supposed to have empathy for this guy, and then we're supposed to think he's noble when he gets bit, and he's like, you guys go ahead, I'm going to stay back, and I'll do whatever I can to keep them away. And
well, his whole character is being set up for an extended Die Hard tribute, basically. He's Bruce Willis's character in Die Hard. It's Christmas time, he wants to be back to his family, but he's got to deal with this issue. And so as soon as he's supposedly bit and they leave him and he goes off to do the noble thing, I thought it was going to be funny and cute, but I just was rolling my eyes because I didn't care about any of these people. Where he's by himself and he's in the weeds of the warehouse and he's ducking around corners and he's got I don't know if he had a gun or something, and there are red lights kind of spinning and things, and I thought, oh, okay, we got Die Hard here. But every single person in this movie was a cardboard cutout, lame-ass, thinly drawn caricature. I think maybe people don't understand that even though something's a comedy, and even though it can be screwball shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like The Hangover and Office Space is kind of like this, right? A comedy about all the wacky cardboard cutout characters in an office.
The Office.
But all of those people, they have heart.
Yes.
And they have real relationships. Yes, you don't believe that this kind of office and all these people would be in the same room and all this stuff would actually happen, but you care about them.
Right.
They have reality to them. And none of these people did I, for one instance, give a shit about.
I blame the writing because I think that everybody in the movie, I think all the actors did the best with what they had.
Yes.
You're right. You don't get invested in them because there's not enough time. The movie's really only an hour and 20 minutes if you take out the credits.
It felt longer, but yeah, thank God for that.
And it did feel longer. And there are so many characters that you can't get invested. It would have been better if they had limited it to 3 or 4. I wanted to like these people. I really liked Chris. I really liked him. I thought he was great, and I wanted to spend more time with him. I really liked Archie, and he was barely in it at all.
Yeah.
There was another new guy called Emmett who you meet for 5 seconds before he goes out and smokes a joint and gets killed. Yeah. And then he comes back as a zombie and they all recognized him, and good for them because I certainly didn't, because I had only met him for 5 seconds in the beginning. Right. And then I also didn't realize one of the main zombies at the end, one of the grossest ones with the greatest makeup, is the old lady bitch customer from the beginning. I would have never known that had they not told me. The movie makes a point of showing that somebody remembers her because she's wearing a particular necklace, but they had to do that. They had to say, hey guys, this is the lady from earlier. They had to show us. They had to show us that it was her.
Oh God.
Oh gosh. And the plot, I mean, it's not slow paced because things are happening. There are stupid times where they just take breaks for no reason.
Yeah.
And you wonder, why don't you just extend this break indefinitely? You're fine where you are.
Yeah.
Like there's a part where they're like, we're not going to let this ruin our Thanksgiving. So they eat some lunch meat, like some turkey lunch meat, and treat it like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
like it gets serious for a minute. Like,
well, for our last Thanksgiving meal, it sure was informative.
No. Don't say that. Don't say this is our last.
I think she was just making a joke.
No. I got 2 kids out there that I plan to see again.
Calm down. We get it.
You don't know shit, Chris. You don't have
I don't have a what, Ken? A family that gives a shit about me? Maybe you're right, but at least I don't love it here.
I don't love it here.
God, look at how hard you try to be the coolest person working at We Love Toys.
Guys, can we not do this right now?
Me?
This scene.
and then somebody later, there's infighting, and somebody later says, "We ate turkey together." Are you kidding?
It was this scene just drove me nuts. Basically, they're in the warehouse part, the back of the store, like you said, perfectly safe. They've got all the doors bolted. There's hardly any zombies in the store anyway.
And they're minding their business, like they've got a job to do. Like,
Yeah.
just leave them alone.
Just-
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end, they would be in trouble. We'll get there in a second.
They would be, but they have
for
no-
now, and they have no idea what's happening, so they
Yeah.
wouldn't even know about this imminent threat that's coming.
Of course not. You're right. The zombies, they're not even out to eat the people. Well, I guess they're out to infect a certain number of them.
Yeah.
That's really unclear now that I actually think about it.
Well, the whole premise is unclear.
Was there a quota?
We don't know what these things are. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what their intentions are, and
Even
we
at the
never
end.
find out.
No.
We just see what happens, and God knows what happens after that.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. Back to that. Back to the Thanksgiving dinner scene.
I thought it was cute that they took all of the glowing toys, like all of the toys, that light up, and
Yes.
piled them all in the middle, almost like it was a little campfire, or it was their way of lighting up the room. That was so cute. Like there were lots of little things that would have been cute.
But they ended up being throwaways.
Yes.
Like there's a whole goddamn character who is a teddy bear.
Yeah. Oh God.
Like we hear in the beginning an announcement that this teddy bear has been recalled because it's malfunctioning or something. But then we see it's called Dour Dennis, and it's just like this sad sack teddy bear that's like, "Oh boy, work sure was tough today. Oh man, I sure wish I had friends." It's voiced by Seth Green. Like, and
Why?
there's nothing to it.
Ugh.
It contributes nothing to the story except at one point it like shorts out and blows up, and I think that is in some way beneficial to the characters. But it's just literally sitting motionless in the background. I wanted that thing to get up and walk around.
Right. Do something.
Because it's like you made it a whole character. You cast Seth Green as a voice actor, who Seth Green I think is fantastic, and he does tons of voice work. He voiced Howard the Duck in the Marvel universe, and he does a lot of voice. I'm not going to speculate what else. I just know that he does a lot of voice work, and he's a funny guy. And you cast this guy and just totally waste him?
Well,
I mean, that shouldn't surprise me since they did the same thing with Bruce Campbell.
if you're gonna do a running gag, the gag needs to run.
And it needs to be funny.
It needs to be funny, and it needs to run.
At
It
least
does
by the
neither
rule of
those
three.
things. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think we see it twice in odd times, and there's no payoff at the. It's just throwaway, like you said. Then after they have this moment, which is super contrived and super typical and super written, where they all come together, but then. They tell each other what their faults are, but then also tell each other what they like about each other. And I don't know, it's supposed to be bonding or supposed to be angsty. At the end of the day, I don't even remember why they decide they need to escape in the truck. Isn't that what happens?
Well, that's what they decide. Like, I guess that the truck is backed up to the loading dock.
And they're like, oh, we can get out by the truck. And
But nothing comes of that. That is a good 20 minutes of the movie, is them getting in the truck, and like they get in the back part, and then Chris is like, well, I can squeeze out through the top and get into the cab and we'll drive away. Well, he gets into the cab, but he doesn't know how to drive the truck. And so then for reasons unknown, he just gets out and walks around a little bit, accomplishes nothing except for drawing the attention of the monsters.
Then he gets back into the truck, into the back.
And they all get out of it. Like the monsters attack, and I don't know. Somebody's like, well, we're safe in here.
No.
Which, yeah, duh. And then somebody else is like, no, they're super strong. They'll tear this thing apart.
Then they open the back and they stand there like they're going to go back in the store, and suddenly the truck's not a problem anymore. The truck is just sitting there, suddenly not being attacked by zombies. Nobody's tearing anything apart. And Bruce Campbell can stand there and say some supposedly badass things for about 5 minutes before they decide to go back into the store. And they have some other plan, which involves going onto the roof.
Oh, yeah, and they end up on the roof. Meanwhile, Ken is down there in the store still dealing with the zombies.
Doing the Die Hard thing, yeah.
You know what would be a good idea right now? I should put on some goddamn roller skates. What?
What's that about? What was that about?
He literally, without explanation, sits down, puts on roller skates. And then is just in roller skates for a while.
It does him no good. I would have thrown something at the screen at that point if I had realized the roller skates would have no payoff.
They had no payoff. Nothing happened. And then I think he eventually just takes them off again. Like he just felt like skating for a minute. But I think this is when he sees and we see that they're all kind of coming together, and the blob is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the other people are on the roof, and he ends up on the roof too. But the blob is now so big that it like breaks through the roof, and then they jump off. Well, no, I lied. Ken's not up there. He never gets up there. But the other ones are all up there. They jump off into a dumpster. And then they see that this blob is turning into a kaiju.
Yeah.
I think somebody even says like, holy shit, it's King Kong or something like that.
Yeah.
But it basically becomes just an enormous, two-faced, mutated zombie. But it's huge.
It's like The Thing. Yeah.
It reminds me of the end of The Gate when that giant demon comes out. And it's big and it's huge and it's scary and it's totally stationary.
Yeah. And it's got flames, by the way, licking up all around it. I'm pretty sure that if you just stood there
and let it cook,
the flames are going to take care of that thing.
It does kill Brian in a really funny way. Like he tries to store manage it. Like he like tries to talk to it like it's a customer, which is so stupid. And the way that it kills him is it just like flicks him. It flicks him. And he like flies through the air. It's like, and then he's gone.
What were they thematically trying to do here? There were these lame attempts at trying to connect the movie to the plight of an employee or the customer-employee relationship. And I don't know, somehow...
I just have a feeling that they thought that they were really funny, and it's not. Like, these jokes, I see what you did there, but, like, it's not...
It's not funny.
And so then Ken comes out, and they're like, oh, my God, you're alive. And, like, Ken and Chris had fought earlier, and they had said mean things to each other, so they have to, like, take a second to, like, make up and kiss or something. I don't know. And then Chris is like, I have a plan. So he jumps in a tiny forklift and starts driving towards the monster. What is the plan? And it moves. It's moving at like 1 mile an hour. Like he could have walked faster.
Oh.
And eventually, I don't know if this was his plan. It's crazy. The monster shoots a tentacle and grabs onto the thing, and he like the forklift, and he like puts it in reverse and floors it. So it's like a tug of war. And then at the last second, he throws it in neutral, jumps out, and the tentacle thrusts the forklift at the monster with such force that it impales itself in the face.
Yeah, like it's huge ass face.
You didn't plan that.
It's huge ass face. It gets poked in the eye. And I thought, and then the monster's suddenly going down. I was like, is the eye its weakness? I just don't understand. understand.
Like it pulls the forklift out and it's just standing there like spewing blood for a while, and they're like, oh no, it didn't work, and then it just collapses into the store, and the store collapses around it, and they all get in a car and they're driving away. I don't know, they have some stupid dialogue.
Oh, I go, oh, what are we doing? Don't we need to go? Don't you want to get back to your kids? Oh yeah, well, we should get some pancakes first.
Yeah, pancakes has been like a running. It's not fair to call it a joke. This girl that he's got this thing with at work, there's a whole thing about they're not really in a relationship. He's like, but I was going to take you out for pancakes. Like, oh, right, that's the sign of a relationship if you have pancakes. Stupid. So then they drive away, and we see on the horizon against the dark sky that these giant kaiju are all over the place.
There's another one. Was there more than one? I just saw
Oh,
one.
yeah. There were at least 2 or 3.
Oh, on your tiny screen you saw it, and I didn't know.
I did.
Wow.
And that's it. That's the end of that movie.
I was gunning for the end of this. This would have been a movie I would have put in like speed and a half if, 3/4 of the way through I had realized it was going to be like this, because it was just a chore for me to get through the inanity of the whole thing. Oh, I just didn't enjoy myself, man. I'm sorry. I didn't enjoy myself at all watching this, and I wanted to so badly.
Yeah, I did too. And I was disappointed too, but I would still recommend it.
Are you kidding me?
No, I really would. I mean, it's like watch it on Thanksgiving or Black Friday or during the Christmas season, because there's a lot of Christmas. There's a lot of fun. Like there's Christmas music that they didn't want to pay a lot of money for the Christmas music. So I don't know who it was. Somebody just played like live on a keyboard and they recorded it. When the crowd is released into the store, the song, I was listening to the lyrics. The song was like, I don't have any idea what the melody is. Maybe you can find it. But the words were, Christmas is canceled this year. Let's get the fuck out of here. Christmas is canceled forever. And there were other funny musical parts too. The writing is bad. That's what the problem is, because it's not shot terribly. There aren't enough extras to make it seem believable, but the cinematography isn't bad.
No.
I think that the acting is good.
It's fine.
But they were just very, very limited by the writing.
Lame dialogue.
The very, very lame dialogue. The story is ridiculous, but most horror movies are. I liked these actors. They were good looking. I was totally fine with watching them for an hour and 20 minutes. It's not a great movie, but I do think, I don't know, if you're just looking for something not to really, put a lot of thought into, just
something to decorate your house.
Mindless.
Christmas.
Yeah, put it on while you're decorating the Christmas tree. That would be perfect.
I don't know, man.
Oh, perfect.
You definitely wouldn't feel like you missed anything if you turned away from the screen, but it might want to make you throw your ornaments across the room from time to time. I don't know, man. I wish I could make some apologies for this movie. Like you said, the writing is terrible, but the writing is everything. I mean, it doesn't matter that the picture looks good or that the actors are cool-looking people that I know can act.
Yeah.
A horror movie has a fairly low bar for us to be entertained. A comedy, on the other hand, generally has a pretty high bar. Comedy just falls flat so easy if all the right pieces are not in place. And God, this movie, nothing was in place as far as the comedy went. And it's supposed to be a horror comedy, and so I did not find it entertaining, and it's not going to be scary because it's a horror comedy. A lot of horror comedies can be scary, but this one, like we said, had no pressure. You didn't really even feel like the zombies were really after them half the time. They had their own business to attend to, as you said, and everything was kind of unclear as to, like you said, the stakes and what they were trying to do, and just a jumbled mess of a movie. A lot of really great ideas.
Yeah.
Really great ideas. And like you said, the director of this movie did a great job with the cinematography and staging scenes and things like that. He directed Aerosmith videos.
Yeah, lots of videos. I think that maybe you and maybe both of us would be more forgiving of this movie if it were a 40 to 60 minute one-off in an anthology.
Yeah.
Like if this were an episode of Creepshow and it was 40, 50 minutes, I think if they had tightened it up a little bit,
Could have been.
because I do like the premise, I do, and I think there's something interesting going on with the monster. I think they take a little bit too long to reveal it. I just don't feel as strongly negatively about it as you do. I agree with you that it's not a good movie, but I didn't hate it. It wasn't painful for me to watch. So do with that what you will, listeners. As of the recording of this episode, it is streaming for free on Crackle.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a bind where you have nothing else to watch, you could probably do worse, in my opinion.
Absolutely. You could definitely do worse. We've done worse, for sure. I think it's about time to hear from another patron. How about you, Craig?
Well, it's my most favorite part of the show.
We're going to have to get a lot more people sending stuff in or else
No, that's okay. It's okay. When they dry up, they dry up. That's fine. But, who are we going to listen to this time?
How about Michael?
Hey, Todd and Craig. This is Michael. And I just wanted to thank you guys for a very enjoyable podcast. Back in the summer of 2018, leading up to Halloween 2018, which has always been my favorite franchise, Halloween 4 was the first horror movie I remember seeing. It scared me to death. I was listening to a different podcast, and then you were probably the second one I ever found. And while some of them can be a little, I'm trying to be nice here, self-important and, I don't know, too pigeonholed, I feel like you guys are very good at showing your love for the films, but also having fun and just being yourselves. I think that's really great. I think you both have a good sense of humor. I'm also from a small town, so it sounds like both of you guys, one of you is from rural Missouri, I think is a teacher. My mom and my grandmother are both teachers, or were. They're both retired. But yeah, I just really appreciate you guys a lot. Appreciate hearing about your lives and your love for these movies. And I love specific series and things, but I also really like the fact that you guys just watch pretty much anything. Sometimes Craig doesn't like what you pick, Todd, but I find it very entertaining. And I really appreciate you guys. And I thank you so much for doing this podcast. And I love that I'm a Patreon now. So have a great day.
I also find it entertaining when you don't like what I pick, Craig.
I know you do. You do it on purpose.
It's one of my favorite things over the years.
I don't do that to you. But that was really nice. And we hear that sentiment a lot that, I'm not going to say anything. I really don't listen to other horror podcasts. I would like to. I just haven't really stumbled on any. There are only a couple of podcasts that I listen to. So if you all know any other good horror podcasts, I assume that if you like ours that we would have similar tastes. So let us know. But we've heard that before, that like we just don't take ourselves too seriously and it just seems like we're having fun. What other way is there? I don't understand a different way to approach it. Like, why would you even want to do it any other way? That doesn't make sense to me. I do understand, I really enjoy hearing, I'm loving these voice messages, by the way. Thank you, Michael. That was very sweet, and I really appreciate it. I love that part of it, but the big reason that we do it is because we have fun talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like, If it felt like a job, either one of us would quit immediately. You know what I mean?
Well, it's literally the pact we made with each other, right? Like, as soon as it stops being fun, we're going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I have looked for other horror podcasts, and I think we have the kind of podcast that we have because this is what we would want to hear. And I'm sure that's probably true for about anybody who's out there creating anything. At least I hope it is.
I guess.
People create things for different reasons, and that's probably true. I'm sure there are people who have very intentionally put together shows that they're trying to sell or they're trying to appeal very desperately to a particular market or whatever. Or just, once again, the kind of thing that they like that I don't particularly care for. Like, I don't really want to hear somebody go on and on about all the latest horror news. I feel like I can just read that online faster.
Yeah.
So that's not something I want. So it's not something that I would be excited about adding to our podcast, I'm the kind of guy who I would love to hear another podcast like ours, and not just about horror movies, but really about any movie or any book. It's just two people who are just discussing that. Don't go off on crazy tangents. Don't spend the first 10 minutes bantering about how their day went or talking about people who I don't know who they are, or inside jokes that I don't know.
We just did that. We bantered before this movie for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm going to cut most of that out. Only the patrons are hearing that shit.
But those are the types of podcasts. I really only listen to a couple, but I listen to them pretty religiously. I want to laugh and have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to do that when you're laughing with somebody. You know, when the hosts or the hosts and their guests are having fun with each other, then I'm having fun and I'm laughing and having a good time right along with them. And that's what I want to do for other people too. I just want to laugh and have a good time. We don't take this super seriously. I mean, we try to provide some insight or things that maybe you wouldn't otherwise know about these movies or whatever. But I just want to have a good time and allow other people to have a good time with us. That's the best part of this.
Well, we have no pressure. We have that luxury, right? Like, we're just doing this for fun. So yeah, it's fun for us, and maybe that just comes through, right? If it's fun for us, it doesn't feel like a chore, then hopefully, I guess that's what makes it fun for other people to hear it. And maybe that explains that.
Thanks, Michael. And shout out to your mom and grandma. Teachers are awesome.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Glad you're having fun. All right, until next time, I'm Todd.
And I'm Craig.
With Two Guys and a Chainsaw.